Okay, everyone, it looks like the fog is leaving. Just look at the majesty in which the fog is leaving. Absolutely majestic. Look at that. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. Anyway, a lot of storming last night, and it's actually 30 days, or just a day over 30, right? Because it began on November the 24th. And now, here it is. It started yesterday, because that's when we started hearing the thunderstorms coming in. And now, look at, nothing but blue skies are coming in on the 25th. All right, more to say about this. Hello, everyone. Today is December the 25th, and it is a day in which clearly the fog is leaving. And it was stormy last night as well, really stormy last night, but it made for a great sleep, resting. So I just got in. I was, woke up really, really early in the morning. And kind of just went to one of the grocery stores. I had to pick up a couple of things, but mostly it's quiet outside. The air feels and smells and looks clean. And so I take this as a symbolic gesture from the Most High. And of course, the angels that are here that are now actively working on our behalf on the Hebrew nations, and actually with some of us within the Hebrew nation. So, considering the fog as it's now leaving, I want to read to you something in a book called Aid to the Bible Understanding. And it states that it contains historical, geographical, religious, and social facts concerning Bible persons, peoples, places, plant and animal life, activities, and so forth. And so the scripture that they use for this particular aid is wisdom is the prime thing. Acquire wisdom, and with all that you acquire understanding. And that's from Proverbs 4, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. This book was actually published in 1971. I wasn't even alive yet, or not even in my mom's thoughts, I'm sure. So it is a very, very special book. And let's understand that some of the names or descriptions for fall can be mist, haze, it can be smog, murky, it can be a lot of different things. And in this case, what I'm going to be reading will be referring to fog as a mist, as it is referred to in the Bible, which is just more than just cloudy. There is like cloudy plus an overcast, and many times that filters down to the ground level of our planet. So the descriptors for mist in some of the Bible notations are particles of water floating in the air that resemble very light rain. When warm, humid air rises from the earth and cools to what is called the dew point, moisture condenses because cool air cannot hold as much water as warm air. If this occurs near the ground, it is called fog. If it takes place higher in the sky, like we've seen this last month, it's formed what is called clouds. Moisture that condenses on cool objects such as the ground or vegetation, usually at night, is described as dew. Mist, on the other hand, is composed of airborne particles of moisture that are somewhat larger in size than fog particles, but smaller than raindrops. The Bible's poetic description of these geological processes accords with scientific findings. Elihu tells how the Most High, or Jehovah, or Yahweh, the source of all heat and energy, first causes the moisture to be drawn up from the earth and then allows it to trickle slowly and drip back in the form of rain and mist, or what is called Eid, as if filtered. Now we know that they term this particular mist or fog as radioactive fog, because they being the powers that shouldn't be, informed us that the reason why they call radioactive, because a lot of the stuff that's in the ground, of course, would be drawn up, as is stipulated here in this book, which is an aid to the Bible. It goes on to say, in the Genesis account of conditions here on the earth, at a certain point during the creative days is found the only other occurrence of the Hebrew word Eid, or mist. Jehovah, Yahweh, Most High God, Creator of the universe, had not made it rain upon the earth, but a mist would go up from the earth, including the streams, lakes, and seas, and it watered the entire surface of the ground. And this can be found in Genesis chapter 2, verses 5 and 6. So this is just kind of giving us a background of how in ancient of days, prior to there being any intelligent human, well, I would say human beings, or man and human on the earth, this is what the original construct of the earth was. And when you think about that, which gives me chills, is that this could be possibly, knowing this could be possibly assigned to us as the Hebrew nation here in California. I mean, obviously all over the United States, or wherever we may be found on this planet, that God is now moving, perhaps maybe, for a new thing that now has come into the earth. Maybe what we're looking at is that new creation literally forming from the ground up of the new dynamic, or the new dimensional shift that we are in, the new world that we now inhabit. And if that is so, then it is marvelous in our eyes to think about it in this way. That is actually cirrostratus clouds from the west that do not bring rain. One who looks to these wispy mist-like clouds as a promise of water for his crops will be bitterly disappointed. And we've had that too, but that was in, I guess, the last few days that we've had that, but mostly it was more of the cumulus clouds is what they call them, where they're nice and full and bubbly. So this goes on to say, so with these false teachers, these immoral men, as Peter goes on to say, for they utter swelling expressions of no profit, and by the desires of the flesh and by those loose habits, they entice those who are just escaping from people who conduct themselves in error. While they are promising them freedom, they themselves are existing as slaves of corruption. And that is 2 Peter 2, chapter 2, verse 1, and verses 17 through 19. And we can utterly see that in the corruption that is going on now. I want to turn your attention to the Epstein files and what is coming down with that revelation. You know, you had the vice president recently get up and say that white people don't have to apologize for being white. And what the creator brought to my mind was the fact that is that he's standing up before white folks while the most heinous crimes are that have been committed upon their children are being revealed. And I want you to take a look at that devilry that is going on. Now, of course, out in the public sphere, you have some black folks out there saying, we never asked for you guys to apologize. What we asked for was tangibles, real justice. And this is true. And it brought back a memory about President Clinton, I guess, standing up and saying sorry or something like that, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Rodney King beating had happened and whatnot, and people were like, yeah, there's a lot of racism going on, it hasn't gone anywhere. And I don't think we even asked him for that. I think we were asking for really that. I think that was really the open call, beginning, spark of the open call for reparations, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so this basically this white man who is in a position, supposedly we're to believe, of power, who is representative of the oligarchs and the elites of the world, the technocrats, the royalty, the aristocracies of the world, the men most people whose names they don't know and couldn't put them up in a lineup, but they totally rule this world. So he, as their representative, gets up and says to regular white folks in an auditorium who actually applauded this, that they don't have to be sorry, not realizing the possibility that to their face, and what is that called, doublespeak, that they are telling them, white folks, that no, we as your leaders and as your masters, we don't have to apologize to you about the profane and the disgusting things that we have done to the most innocent among you, your children, your babies. And how, and what I also noticed too, what the creators brought to my mind, is how blinded the idea, the false idea, the lie of supremacy is just because of your skin color, and how deluded that they are, that they want nothing else but to feel like no matter where they are in life, that at least they're not black. And what a sickness that is. I think that would be worse than being a drug addict. I really do. When you break it down, because I don't even think that they have even made that connection. That, well, you're in the fizz of thumbing your nose at us and giving us the middle finger as black folks, as the Hebrew Israelite nation, that you don't owe us anything when you know you do. When you know you're devilry, you just want to be excused for it, but you don't realize that they're saying it at a time where they're releasing these files, these photos, these videotapes, these testimonials of the very people that are standing up on the podium before you. And they're telling you that the acts and showing you the acts that they have done to your children. They are not doing it to our children anymore. They used to, and they did it for a very long time. They used to do that. But they're doing it to your children. You are so, excuse my French, sick in the head with wanting to have this feeling of arrogance in you. No matter how you live, no matter what they do to you, that you will excuse, because that's where it's going. You will excuse what they have done so that you can feel good about yourself and feeling better at thinking the false thing of, at least I'm not a black man or a black woman. This is disgusting. And, wake up. Wake up. Will you not wake up? Are you going to be woefully asleep until the bitter end? And if this is the case, and it seems like black folks, this is where it's going, let go. Let go of them surviving Armageddon. Let go of them even wanting to. The only thing, as far as en masse, perhaps, maybe, even in this dire hour, there may be a few white folks who have woken up and smelled the begonias, have sniffed the coffee, and have said, this is some BS. No, man, no, we want more than an apology. Look what you have done to the most innocent of our own race. Do you not see, white folks, do you not see that there is a difference between their whiteness and your whiteness? I'm talking to the regular white folks. There are different kinds of white, and you are not in their club. And I just, they throw you crumbs, just like in Rome when they said, well, just when things were, Rome was at its bottom, the emperor said, well, just throw them some bread. Just throw them some bread. And even then, as long as you were a Roman citizen, you were just willing to accept the bread, even though you were starving and living in deplorable conditions. By the time the Vandals from the north came in and hit Rome, it was already done. It was primed and prepped for the taking. Everything about it was rottenness to the core. And I'm telling you that so is this country. It is right. It is primed and ready for someone to come in and hit it, for it to fall. And someone is. Someone is. I mean, that's justice. It's justice. But let me finish this out. So the last paragraph to the mist and the fog here. Jude, the book of Jude describes in the prophet, Jude describes such ones as waterless clouds carried this way and that by the wind. So carried this way and that way. And that's what you guys are. You just go with them no matter what they do to you. You just go to the left, you go to the right. The truth gets revealed. You don't care. As long as they can come around and stand up on a podium and do flashing lights and do a conference. And you are just willing to just lie down and no thought of justice. None. As a collective. Nothing is stirring you. Not as a collective. Nothing is stirring you as a group to say this is not the way it ought to be. And if I have to lose this illusion of white supremacy, then I'm willing to do that in order to have justice, if not for myself, for my babies, for somebody else's babies who look like my babies. I mean, are you only upset when it's a black man? Okay, let me finish. Oh, and that's in Jude 12. It says, Jesus' half-brother James writes to Christians that as far as the present life is concerned, you are a mist appearing for a little while and then disappearing. That's James chapter 4, verse 13. Certainly false teachers are like a mist after a short while passing out of existence forever. 2 Timothy chapter 3, 8 and 9, and Jude verse 13. And you are surrounded. We are surrounded by these people, and false prophets can wear three-piece suits. False prophets can be political, and most times they are political. Most times their messages are to deal with the governments of the world and getting in there, maneuvering themselves in there. And many of these scriptures that allude to the mist and the fog for creative measures and destructive measures. Okay, because the fog of Genesis was the creative, was the fertile ground, the misting of all the plants and the waters and the rivers. It was useful in maintaining the planet. But then you have mist or fog that is also destructive. Excuse me. And so, while just now the sun is just coming out, and it's beautiful. It's just shining right now. It's beautiful. So I'm taking that I'm on the right track of what I'm saying. I praise the Most High for giving me literally the cloud just parted right now. And it is basking in my little sitting area. And so I think that things are being cleared away. They're being brought up. They're being disseminated in the atmosphere, and the truth cannot be more apparent, and you can't run from it. No one can. We couldn't. You can't either. You can't run from the justice of the Most High, and it's a cool way, COOL, that the Most High is dealing with this planet. And I would say moving upon the planet and dealing with this world, right in your face. And I want to say to Black folks, it was double speak. Consider that they were saying one thing but meaning another when the vice president got up there and said that. And you can tell that White people didn't even catch it. They didn't even catch that they were telling the oligarchs. They know they folks. The white people that are on high, that are in high position, they know white people. They know that they can say, because when you speak words, sometimes it's a magical spell that you are saying to a person or to people. And I hope that this gets through to some of them. May not all of them, but it gets through some of them, enough of them, that I hope you realize that they were saying the same thing to you, that they don't have to apologize being white. They don't have to apologize to you because they are supreme even over you, the regular white folks. And they can do to your sons and your daughters whatever they want to do. And you just better sit down, shut up and accept it. This is a real deep magical thing that they are working in front of you. They let it out, but they blacken out a lot of it, so you know it's horrific. You know it's just beyond the pale. And then after they do that, they let out some of the pictures and some of the video, and they say that there's just files and files. And you gotta think how many of those babies, what they went through and what they suffered. Not all of them, I suspect not all of them are teenagers. And you think about all the children that have gone missing, that were never found. And you think of all the time they have tried to find their babies and never able to find them. You gotta wonder, did they end up in this cabal? When you look at some of the, there's, oh, I forget her name now. Oh my goodness. But she does research of things that have been published, but most people don't read because they have an investigative mind. But she said that when she interviewed some of the girls who were teenagers, but they're ladies or women now, she says that some of them saw hundreds of girls, some of them even thousands of children being funneled, and that it was all over the planet. This world, there was not a country that had not been touched by this cabal, by this ring. And you know, white people, y'all gotta wake up, and y'all gotta decide, are you, you know what, it may be what has been going on, because this is what we know. Imagine what we don't know. Maybe your birth rates are falling, not so much. Yes, obviously I do believe that the Most High has a hand in that, but also too, you may have to consider that your own folks have a hand in it. Your own folks have a hand in why this is, your numbers are now slipping and falling in the tank. I mean, they're snatching up your babies and doing whatever, and you don't see them no more. That's a human being that now can't procreate. Just a thought. So anyway, I'm gonna let that go. But the fog is now lifting. It's been 30 days. The fog can bring omens, and it brings blessing. So for you, for the nations, for the worlds, it's an omen. For the Hebrew people, it is prophecy. It is prophecy for us. It is a renewing for us. It is denoting that a new earth is now in full effect, and probably has been, but maybe this is the inauguration, the final moment of that inauguration. Thank you for letting me speak. Please like and share this message if you found it helpful.